Hello and welcome to 18 WJTS in.form. There is a very special organ dedication coming up at Precious Blood Church. We'll talk about that in this edition of WJTS in.form. I'm your host, Bill Potter. Joining me in the studio is Ann Nagy, and she is the Coordinator, Director of Musical Ministries at Precious Blood, correct? Okay. And also joining us is Jeanne Campbell, and many of people know you though as Jeanne Campbell.
That's
all
right.
And we're going to be talking about the new organ that is going in at Precious Blood Church. You first of all are going to have a dedication on January 2nd, which is open to the public. Yes. And is non-denominational, so everybody is more than welcome. Let's first of all clear up, why does Precious Blood need a new organ?
Well, the old organ had seen many decades of use, and it was literally dying. We were told after some brief analysis of the organ that all of there were many parts that were broken, and at any time, any of the other parts of the organ could have died, and they couldn't be replaced because it was not available.
So it's time to get a new organ.
Time.
And let's talk about how it was funded, because organs are not inexpensive. That's a pretty big deal for any church to have an organ.
Right, and that's the first question that our parish council did ask. Fortunately, through my parents' legacy of the United Cabinet Foundation, there were many funds there in order to perform this sort of work. My parents were very artistic. They played several instruments. They loved the arts, ballroom dancing. They played several instruments, and they just loved all of the arts. And so the money was there. So the grant came from United Cabinet Foundation, which was founded by my parents, Stan and Mary Jane Crimp.
And what a way to touch lives without people even being realized how important an organ is in a church service or in a Christmas service or just in a choir presentation.
Right. Well, I started playing the organ at 9, Gregorian chant before Vatican II, and I would get up and play 7 o'clock Mass in the summertime. And so I was the musician in the family, and my parents loved that because they were very good amateur musicians. And so it was a natural reflection of giving back to the community in the way that they loved.
And this is not just any organ. You don't just go and buy these. This is a special kind of organ. And I guess, Ann, if you'll talk about the organ.
Our organ is a Rogers Infinity 361 number 2 model. It's the very same organ that Holy Family has. And I want to thank Dan Rassicott, who recently passed, for his influence in this, because he recommended this organ, and he also recommended Tom McGee from Indianapolis Classic Organ Company as people that would be the best ones to get this organ from.
Where is the organ located in the church? For those that go to the church, it's not up front. That's a piano. Being limited in my musical talents, I at least know that that's a piano. The organ is where?
The organ is in the rear of the church, and we knew we could never install a pipe organ the way the church is designed. It's more of a contemporary church. It has a very low ceiling in the back, so that's where the organ is.
Is it kind of where the choir is?
Yes, that's correct,
okay,
right in front of the choir.
Know. Okay. Now, you're going to have a dedication on January 2nd. Let's talk about that. First of all, it's at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. How long will the program go?
I'm going to describe the program.
The program will last 1 hour. So it will be finished by 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the program is very varied. So Jeanne and I and the organist collaborated, and we picked pieces that we thought the community would appreciate. So this is an Epiphany Christmas concert, just like we were gifted with the organ by United Cabinet Foundation. We are gifting the community with this concert.
Okay, and so it'll go from 5 to 6, and it features not just any organist. Tell us about the organist.
Okay, the organist is Rodney Barber, and he is a very accomplished organist. He said that he's done 40 different concerts, and he's had concerts in 42 states, internationally in the province of Canada, Puerto Rico, Italy. So he's going to be very well renowned and an excellent organist.
This will be an exciting concert because someone of that professional caliber will be able to fully utilize all the orchestral sounds. You cannot imagine every instrument in the orchestra can be reproduced by this organ. Not just chimes, not just bells. I mean, it's going to be extraordinary.
So
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
On some of the samples of the songs, our choir at Precious Blood will sing an entrance piece and a closing, but we're also allowing the congregation to sing with us. And then some of the pieces that he's got planned, he has Carol of the Bells, and he has organ harp, orchestral strings, nylon guitar, bells, and full symphonic strings, and then a full organ. That's all the instruments in just that one piece. He's going to feature different pieces. He's going to have a trumpet voluntary, because we asked for pieces that possibly people might want to use for weddings. And so in that, he has a solo organ trumpet, mixtures, full organ, brass, percussion, orchestral strings, and harpsichord. So you'll see there's just a wide range. And then his piece that is the concert piece is Toccata in F by Vider, and he's using the full organ from the French foundations. So it should be a very nice concert.
The important thing about going to this dedication and this concert is that if you go to a normal mass, you may not hear the full range or ability of this organ,
Yes.
where with this, you will.
Yes, he said that this is to inspire us to know how far we can go with the type of music. The priest that we have, Father Brian Emick, is very much into wanting to include everyone in the congregation into the services, so he thinks we should have a broad range of styles and a broad range of music, and this organ allows us to have anywhere from the traditional all the way to contemporary.
Okay. And with COVID, we want to make sure that people know, wear a mask. I don't know if the church requires wearing a mask, but if you would like to wear a mask, don't feel bad about that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And it's free of charge?
Yes.
Okay. If people would like to make donations, I guess they can do that?
Absolutely. A free will donation would be fine.
Yes. And the part that's good about this organ, it can be paired with other pipes, so you can change it into a pipe organ at any time if you want to invest the extra money. It has 3 manuals, and the choice was a lighted draw knob or a mechanical. Holy Family has the mechanical, but we have a lighted LED lights that light up whenever I pull the stops out. They went to all the different famous organs in the United States, and they used 8 different microphones to sample sound so that when you're listening to ours, it sounds like a pipe organ.
Yeah, this is what's extraordinary about this digital organ, is that the sounds, when you push a flute stop down, that sound comes from a very famous organ's flute pipe sound. So it's not just some electronic sound. It is reproduced, yes, but it is that authentic sound. It's really quite something. It's very exciting.
The other advantage of it being a digital organ is that it has Bluetooth technology. So it has air turn, free page turning, so that eventually if I would get an iPad, put the music on that, I could hit a thumb piston or a toe piston, which is on the floor, and it'll turn my page without me having to touch anything.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, what we can do now technologically is amazing.
That's exciting.
Is this an organ that people will have heard at other churches?
The churches in this area that have Rogers organs, there are different levels, so just like a car, you can have an inexpensive one or a more expensive one or a very expensive. It's the same with organs. But St. Benedict's Cathedral Church in Evansville has this organ. We have this organ at Precious Blood. Holy Family Church in Jasper has this type of organ, and so does St. Mary, Ireland.
What will happen with the old organ? Is it just, it's shot?
The old organ also served a need in the community because Holy Family, at the time that we were giving the organ to somewhere, they needed an instrument because the one that they had in their practice room quit, and so we gave it to them.
Is it hard to play the organ? I mean, it'd be impossible for me to play the organ.
The organ is harder than a piano because you're reading 3 levels all at the same time. You're reading 3 scores. So I'm playing one hand in the other hand, and then I also have to read a line for my feet pedals. The feet pedals are the same as the organ, except that they're bigger and you have to play them with your feet.
Yeah. It's amazing to watch somebody play the organ. I don't know how you can think 3 different ways at one time.
It's also a distinct technique. When I was taught by the Sisters of Providence at Precious Blood School, they would not let you study organ the same year you started piano. I wanted to. Oh, I was ready to go. I was so excited to do it, but they wouldn't let you because when they taught organ then, you connected all the fingers from one note to the next, as opposed to the piano where you really lift your fingers up almost all the time to go from chord to chord. Now, a more advanced technique does transition to a different style, but in those days that's the way it was taught. So it's not really advisable for you to start both of those instruments at the same time. It's a different technique.
So the organ will be dedicated Sunday, January 2nd, at Precious Blood Church, which is obviously where it is because that's where it's located, 5 o'clock till 6 o'clock. What time will doors open? I mean, you could get a pretty full house.
4 o'clock is
4
the
o'clock.
time that the doors open.
Okay. Will somebody kind of explain how this organ works? Will Rodney Barber
He's
also
going to
be?
explain in between each piece and what each piece will signify and what it will show. And there will also be at least a 30-minute period after the concert that we've planned for people to come up and talk to him also.
So obviously, if you're a musician, an organist especially, this is something you will really want to go to.
Yes.
But if you're just a regular layperson that just wants to understand the organ and its purpose in the ceremonies, this is also for you as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
And the organ is very realistic in sound because I had an instance happen where I used in the same piece 5 or 6 different instruments, different settings like he's going to use. And the people stayed to listen to the whole piece. Usually they'll leave a little earlier, but they stayed in the pews to listen. And this couple came up, they were elderly, and they asked me, they said, "You're a very good organist," but they said, "You're even a better orchestra director." They said, "We heard that orchestra, and we haven't heard one in Jasper for a long time that's that good." They said, "You're a really good orchestra director. Where's your orchestra?" And I told them they weren't there. There was no orchestra. That was me. They were sure because they heard a clarinet, they heard a trumpet, they heard the flute, they knew all the instruments they heard. And then they asked me if there was a back door that the people could have gone out. They watched the whole time and nobody left. And they said they knew they were still there. So they kept looking around the organ each time that they would ask me that to see like there really were people back there, but there weren't. So that's how realistic this organ sounds with its instrumentation.
And the way to find out is Sunday, January 2nd, or attend a Mass at Precious. Is the organ played every Mass at Precious Blood or just?
Not every Mass.
Okay.
The 8 o'clock on Sunday morning is the one that it's played the most often at.
Okay. All right. Well, ladies, thank you very much for coming in. And thanks to the foundation for making the donation to get the Precious Blood organ. That's great.
It's our pleasure.
So joining us, we had with us Jeanne Campbell. Also joining us was Ann Nagy. Thank you for watching 18 WJTS Inform. Hope to see you at the organ dedication, January 2nd, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Precious Blood Church. Thank you for watching.